Hey, what is up, Jaybird TV fam? Today I'm going to talk about the exercises that I did in order to learn the front lever hold. Now, we're all quarantined at home, it's very boring, but we have a lot of time on our hands, and there's a lot of exercises that you can perform right at home in order to master this move. The reason that you want to learn this for climbers specifically is that it really helps you in positions when you're climbing on roof. Now, if you were climbing roof, imagine that you have your two hands placed and your feet placed, and you're trying to create tension between your foot and your hand, and you're really squeezing your core and maybe pushing or pulling with your toe. Now in the front lever hold, you're able to hold your body in that position without even the use of your legs. So then when you're able to put your legs on, you can create a whole lot of tension. It's also one of the best exercises to work on your lats as well. So, without further ado, let's jump into the exercise that I used in order to learn the front lever hold. First, let's bring it down to the ground. Now, in order to build up the necessary core strength and to start practicing the form, I found it really helpful to do bolt holds. Now, the bolt hold is an isometric core exercise in which you lie down on your back, and essentially, in order to go into the hold, you tighten up almost everything in your body, and the idea is to form your body like the hull of a boat. So you'll notice that I'm bringing my legs off the ground, and I'm rounding my back, squeezing my core, and trying to get my shoulders off the ground as well. Now in the hold, in order to make sure that I have proper form, I picture as if there was a rope underneath the small of my back, and that rope should not be able to be pulled out, meaning there should be no space between your lower back and the ground. Now, you should be squeezing your glutes, your thighs, your core, really everything in your body. And if you were to raise your arms up and squeeze your lats, that's pretty much what it feels like to be holding a front lever. The nice thing is that you can hold this for much, much longer and start to build up that necessary strength. Really focus on keeping everything in the body tight. To make it more challenging, you can even bring your arms back and try and keep that good form. I recommend just repping out bolt holds as much as possible whenever you do your core exercises in order to get your body used to that plane and also start to build up that strength and form. All right, now let's bring it up to the bar. So this credit goes out to Osvaldo Lugones, one of my favorites in calisthenics and one of the masters of isometric holds like the planche and front lever. So what I started to do in order to build up the necessary strength in my scapula and lats was to do two different exercises hanging on the bar. Now the first one is going to target the scapula, and that's essentially going to be the muscle groups that are in your back, and they really help with pulling. So if you were to hang on a bar and essentially just kind of hang loose and let your body sink down, what you want to do without bending your arms is to raise up using your scapulas, meaning you're trying to pull your shoulders back and also together. And you can really feel the difference when you pull your body up, and you're really activating that back, and this is also proper form in pulling. For example, when you do a pull up, and it'll also be the first way to start training your one arm pull up. If you were to do one arm scapula shrugs or one arm shoulder shrugs, as you can see, that's the first beginning motion in one arm pull up. So doing the isometrics hold of just holding using your scapulas activated, and the actual motion of shrugging. I used to just do these every morning and really help to start building a strong base in my pulling motion and in my back. And of course you can do it with just the one arm as well. Just try and keep everything tight and try and keep everything in your upper body and back tight and engaged. Now the next motion is going to stem from this scapula shrug, which is starting to activate your lats. And you'll see the difference here. If I hang loose and then activate my shoulders and then start to lean back, that's when the lats become really engaged. And you can see this is actually the beginning motion of the front lever, only the rest of my body is hanging down low. You can even make it more dynamic and start to raise your body up with your arms locked out, meaning that you're pulling solely with your back. Now, of course, you can hold this in an isometric hold, or you can rep it out for actual reps. And this will be the next step after building up your scapulas. I recommend doing the exercises together and it'll really start to work that back. And that's how you start developing the strength in your lats and behind your shoulders in order to go into the front lever hold. Now that we looked at the boat hold on the ground, scapula shrugs, and lat raises, now let's look at another really important exercise, and this one really helped me start to get the strength necessary to hold that front lever, and that's going to be the Lsit. Now the Lsit can be used in conjunction with the scapula shrug, where you're not just hanging down low necessarily, but also engaging your scapulas and your lats. In the Lsit, you're not only building massive core strength, but also strength in your arms. Of course, you can do just Lsit leg raises, or the isometric hold of just holding your legs out. Implementing a lot of Lsits into my daily routine really helped me start to get that strength. And that can even probably lead you to the front lever if you did them long and diligently enough. Now, an important progression to this as well is toes to bar. And in toes to bar, you essentially bring your Lsit up to the bar. And the reason this is so helpful is it does something important in your back, and that is using your lats, which is the primary muscle in the front lever, in order to pull your body up and also keeping that core tension. Toes to bar may be even better than the Lsit for the front lever hold. I recommend doing them both because the isometric Lsit hold is really going to get you used to just holding a difficult position for time. The toes to bar is a great dynamic movement to really get the lats and the back engaged. For me, I think the combination of the boat hold, the shrugs, and the Lsit were really key for me mastering this difficult move. Now, of course, there's lots of progressions out there in order to go into the full front lever hold. And essentially what these progressions are just doing it with your legs tucked in. So having your legs up first, almost like a knee sit hold, and raising up. This is much easier to do and hold. So you can once again do this as an actual hold as well. And if you really want to start to get that pulling strength, you can do pull-ups just like this in this crunched up kind of pseudo front lever position. And essentially what you're doing there is using your lats and your back to pull your body up. And this is going to be a much more doable progression into front lever pull-ups, which is something that I'm working towards and is another step in mastery of the front lever. Now, essentially the rest of the progressions would just be slowly starting to unfold your legs out. So instead of being crunched up, maybe having your legs out like this, but your knees tucked, and then raising up into the front lever. And then having one leg out. Switching. And you can even go into that tucked position and put one leg out at a time. This is one of my favorites because it really let me hit that good solid form with one leg stretched out, my whole body straight, but much more doable than just trying to go right into it. So going into that tucked position, you can put one leg out at a time. And essentially switch off and on, and you're really going to feel your lats start fatiguing. That is one of my all-time favorites as well, for feeling that position, feeling the good form, getting a really good workout, but one that's much more doable. Now for the last two exercises I have, both are going to be really helpful. One, even more immensely so. The first one is just going to be the full front lever raise, which is really just a progression of the tucked front lever raise I was speaking of earlier. And a fantastic way to get into this position, shout out to Hoseok Lee for really introducing this into my routine. It's called ice cream makers, and that's where you go into a pull-up, then get your body straight in that plane, and use the pull-up to swing down into the front lever hold. And I love this idea because basically this helps you to feel what it's like to be in that position even when you can't really achieve it very easily. So essentially you go up into a pull-up, get in that front lever position, and you can even use momentum to get yourself into that position. And it's nice because that's on the upper end of pulling, the more fully locked off side. So doing this in conjunction with the previous exercises with a very straight arm is going to help balance out and build a lot of strength in your arms. Now for the very last one I have for you all, for what I use in order to learn the front lever hold, is going to be negatives. Negatives are amazing because they allow you to once again unlock that position just like the ice cream makers, where you're pulling up and then swinging into that position and teaching your body what it's like. Essentially you pull up all the way and drop down into it. I used to do this one quite a lot when I was trying to master it. It might be a little difficult to do in my room just because there's not as much space as there would be at the gym, but I'll try and give you a good demonstration. And you see that I'm raising up higher and then falling into that front lever position and trying to keep that good form. Whew, and I'm really feeling it from demonstrating all these exercises. But using front lever negatives is also going to help you get into that position and start to really master the front lever hold. Now, I'm confident that if you practice this whole variety of exercises, put a lot of time and work into it, you will unlock and master this move, and your strength will go to a whole new level. It took me maybe around 8 months in order to start really holding the front lever. One last thing I want to talk about as well are going to be the grips on the bar. The more that you over grip, the more of your forearm you're going to use, and the more you come back, the more of your fingers you're going to use. Now, most people in calisthenics will tell you to do an over grip because that's easier for them. For a boulderer, myself, it was easier to use my fingers. So actually I started getting it first by being back on just my fingers and using that strength to lift my body up. Practice with both. You can even do the inverse grip, like a pull-up, wide grip, any grip that you use for any pulling motion. Start to experiment, and the variety is really going to help you master this move. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope you have a wonderful day. I wish you all the best in learning this incredible move. I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.